ॐ विश्वंदर्पण दृश्यमान नगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यं श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यं तन्तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः परब्रह्मनिष्ठं स्वतो धर्मनिष्ठं अहिंसैकनिष्ठं स्वशिष्यै सुजुष्टं यतीनां वरिष्ठं गुरूणां गरिष्ठं दयानन्दरूपं मदाचार्यमीडे नमः श्री परमार्थाय संसाराध्यासनाशिने श्रोत्रियब्रह्मनिष्ठाय तस्मै ब्रह्मविदे नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ I welcome you all to the 31st class of the Fundamentals of Vedanta series. We have finished discussing the question of how an adhikari becomes an adhikari. And we said that an adhikari becomes an adhikari by gaining sadhana chatushtaya sampattihi, vivekaha, vairagyam, shamadhi shatka sampattihi, and mumukshutva. The next question was how one gains those qualifications. We said that one gains those set of qualifications through karma yoga and upasana yoga. Karma yoga means proper action coupled with proper attitudes. Proper actions are those that are in keeping with one's samanya and vishesha dharma. And they include efficacious actions like yajnaha, danam, and tapaha. Proper attitudes comprise of Ishwararpana buddhihi, offering one's proper actions to Ishvara who is manifest as dharma. And prasada buddhihi, where one accepts all experiences in life as Ishvara's prasada, with humility, without complaint. And then we talked about upasana yoga, which is dwelling on Ishvara, meditation upon Ishvara. When one goes through karma yoga and upasana yoga, as we said, bhakti is included. Bhakti is the common environment that pervades karma yoga, upasana yoga, as well as jnana yoga that we are going to discuss from now on. So bhakti is not some separate discipline. The first stage of bhakti yoga is karma yoga. The second stage of bhakti yoga is upasana yoga. And the third stage of bhakti yoga is jnana yoga. So when we imagine a bhaktaha, for example, who is singing praises of Bhagavan, or who's chanting names of the Lord. And all that comes under Vachika Karma. That is Vachika Karma. That person is a Karma Yogi because he or she is doing efficacious actions. Deva Yajna. And similarly, if a Bhakta is meditating on Ishvaraha, then it comes under Upasana Yoga. So Bhakti is not some standalone discipline, is what the tradition says. So when a person goes through Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga with the overall environment of Bhakti, devotion to Ishvara is there, then what happens? Say there is a neutralization of the ragas and dveshas. Because the ragas and dveshas become subservient to Ishvara, who is manifest as Dharma, when one is doing actions, performing actions. And then the ragas and dveshas become subservient to Ishvara's prasada at the time of experiencing the results. Experiencing life in general, whatever comes is Ishvara's prasad. And therefore, there's a distancing from the raga dveshas. We say there's a neutralization of the ragas and dveshas. And what happens when this neutralization of ragas and dveshas happen? The negative reactions come down. The mind is no longer a reacting mind, it becomes a learning mind. And what does this learning mind discover? Brings one to a turning point. When one begins to see the three doshas in all of the accomplishments, all of the worldly accomplishments, dukkha mishritatvam, atriptikaratvam, and bandhakatvam. And everything is intermixed with sorrow, dukkha mishritatvam, atriptikaratvam, it leaves me apurna. And bandhakatvam, it makes me more and more dependent on things and beings that are inherently unpredictable, uncontrollable, and unsustainable. So then one begins to ask, is there any other accomplishment that can give me this fulfillment that I am seeking? So one begins the spiritual search. And this is how the spiritual inclination develops. And then it also, this karma yoga, upasana yoga, coupled with bhakti, that also gives one the spiritual capabilities, the qualifications, vivekaha, vairagyam, samadhi shatka sampattihi, mumukshutva. So one comes to this turning point, such a person comes to this turning point which we have seen before. This is the mantra from Mundaka Upanishad. Pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmanaha nirvedamayat nasti akrita kritena tad vijnanartham sa gurumeva bhigachet samitpanihi shrotriyam brahmanishtam. So, Pariksha lokan karmachitan, he has examined all the experiences that can be gained through karma. Karmachitan lokan pariksha. And what happens? Brahmanaha, this sattva guna pradhana karma yogi. Because he has gone through karma yoga, upasana yoga, his mind has become sattva guna pradhana. Sattva guna is dominant. So when he looks at all these experiences, he says, Nasti akrita kritena, the purnatvam that I am seeking cannot be accomplished through action. Nirvedamayat, and he develops a certain dispassion towards these pursuits. That is vairagyam. So the viveka comes, the vairagyam comes. And the seeking for the nitya vastu also develops, mumukshutvam. And therefore, the Upanishad says, tad vijnanartham, in order to know that. So Upanishad changes the language there. It doesn't say in order to do some karmas, in order to perform some actions to gain that. It doesn't say. It says in order to know that. Tat vijnanartham. What should one do? Saha, such a person, gurum eva abhigachet. he should go to a guru. Gurum eva. He should go only to a guru. Nothing else is going to work. And then the Upanishad says, Samit Panihi, with dry sticks in one's hands, meaning some offering. And the dry sticks also symbolize this person's vairagyam, because a dry stick in the presence of fire, it catches fire. So his readiness for knowledge is indicated. Samit Panihi, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtham. The Upanishad says what kind of guru he should go to. Shrotriya Brahmanishtha Guru. So today's topic, we are going to focus on who the guru is and various subtopics centered around this topic. So we'll first talk about who is the guru according to Vedanta. And then we'll talk about why the guru holds an exalted place in the tradition. And then why is the guru necessary? What are the qualifications of the guru, ones that we just talked about? And something about the Guru Śiṣya Parampara, the tradition. So today's class, we'll focus on these topics. So the first question is, who is a guru? Well, one has to approach a guru, one should have some idea of who the guru is. So all of these topics we'll be talking about what the Shāstras say about the guru in general. That is what our discussion is based on. So these days we find that the word guru has become very commonplace because people talk about management guru, for example, or stock guru. And I was actually curious to see what the Webster dictionary says about the word guru. So I looked it up and it gave some examples like football guru and even barbecue guru was included there. And even fitness guru and beauty guru. So guru has become all pervasive now. In every field, any expert is now called guru. But before this guru entered the English language, traditionally in the culture, we had used the word guru for somebody who teaches the traditional arts or traditional music, dance, etc. For example, if one is a student of Carnatic music, then the teacher is referred to as guru. Or if one is learning Bharatanatyam, the teacher is again referred to as guru. So this has been our culture. And also martial arts, etc. The teachers are referred to as guru, traditional martial arts. But Vedanta is also a traditional teaching. Vedanta has a very specific definition of who the guru is. And we touched a little bit upon this when we discussed during the Guru Purnima, but we'll just recall that shloka. And that is the first shloka that I had sent in the PDF today. So the shloka goes like this. Gukarastvandhakaro vai Rukarastan nivartakaha Andhakara nirodhitvat Gururitya. So it splits the word guru as gu and ru, two syllables, gu and ru. So now what do gu and ru mean? It says gukaraha tu andhakaraha vai. So this gu syllable refers to darkness. Gukaraha tu andhakaraha vai. And what does ru refer to? Rukaraha tannivartakaha. Rukaraha, the root syllable, refers to the one who removes this darkness. Tannivartaka. Andhakara nirodhitvat guruhu iti abhidhiyate. So because the guru is the remover of darkness, he is referred to as the guru. So now the question arises as what is the problem that darkness can cause? And what darkness is this referring to? So let us first take the external darkness. So when there is external darkness, what happens? We have eyes. The eyes are as good as blind, cannot see anything. So one may tend to stumble around and trip over things, perhaps even fall. So there's a lot of struggle involved just because I cannot see. So this is what external darkness can cause. Struggle basically. Why? Because I am as good as blind. But here the darkness that is referred to is not external darkness, it is internal darkness of self-ignorance. So what does this internal darkness of self-ignorance do? It makes one spiritually blind. What does spiritual blindness mean? I cannot see who I am. I cannot see who Ishvara is. I cannot see what the real nature of the world is. So one is blind with regards to these three things, spiritually blind. So now how does the Guru remove this internal darkness? How does the external darkness go? There's only one means of removing the external darkness. One has to bring in light. No matter what one does, nothing can remove darkness. If one screams, for example, darkness will continue. One jumps up and down, up and down, jumps up and down. Darkness continues. Darkness goes only by bringing in light. Similarly, this internal darkness of self-ignorance goes only by one means, which is jnanam, the light of jnanam, the light of knowledge. So Guru is the remover of internal darkness. How does he remove the internal darkness? It is only by bringing in the light of knowledge. There is no other way. That is how once the internal darkness goes, then things are brightly lit up. I can see who I am, who Ishvara is, and what the nature of the world is. There's this other shloka, which is the next shloka that I had sent in the PDF. That also talks about who the Guru is. Both of these shlokas are talking about who the Guru is based on what the Guru does. The first shloka said, the Guru is the remover of darkness. By bringing in light, he brings in the light of knowledge. Now, what does the second shloka say? So we will read it. This is from the Guru Stotram. It says, Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So here, it gives an example of a person who has an eye problem. A person who is blinded, basically. Again, this blind thing comes in. A person who is blinded. Blinded by what? By some cataract. When a person has this extensive cataract, he cannot see anything. He is as good as blind. In fact, there is a blindness certificate the government gives. They basically they do some tests and say this person is blind. So Timira refers to this cataract. Timirandha refers to the one who is blinded by the cataract. So what does a person who is blinded by the cataract need to do? If it is treatable, then the person needs to go to a surgeon. And the surgeon takes some sharp instrument. Then he is an expert. Can use this sharp instrument. So he takes this sharp instrument and then removes the cataract. And these days, that sharp instrument may be the highly focused laser beam. That's also an extremely sharp instrument. So one needs the sharp instrument that can remove this cataract. So similarly, the shloka says that a person who has this ajnanam, it likens this ajnanam to the cataract. Ajnana timirandha means the one who is blinded by this cataract of self-ignorance. Ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya. So shalaka is that sharp instrument, a needle-like thing. So the guru, what does the guru do? Jnananjana shalakaya. Through this sharp instrument, he brings in this jnanam that removes the cataract. So you could either think of the sharp instrument itself being the jnanam that removes the cataract, or you could think of the sharp instrument as being the words of Vedanta that give rise to the jnanam that removes the cataract of ignorance. And what happens once this cataract is removed? Chakshurunmilitam. Chakshuhu unmilitam means the eyes of this person are now opened. So this is not referring to the physical eye here, but it refers to the eye of wisdom. The spiritual eye of this person is opened because the ajnanam has been removed by the Guru. What does this opening of the spiritual eye mean? It means that he knows who I am very clearly now. He knows who Ishvara is without doubt. He knows what the nature of the world is without doubts. No confusion, clear knowledge. So this is how the Guru is defined in the tradition, based on what the Guru does. Brings in the light of knowledge, removes the Atma Ajnanam. So now the next question is, why does the Guru have an exalted place in the tradition? So for this, we have to dwell a little bit upon why this Atma Ajnanam is a problem. We have looked at it before, just recalling what we have discussed earlier. So we have talked about this, that the Jiva knows I am. Jiva knows I am there. So the Samanya Jnanam is there, that I am there. But the Vishesha Jnanam of who I am is not there. We say that this is the ideal condition for a mistake, a superimposition, just like when one sees a rope in semi-darkness. Something is there, one knows, but one doesn't know clearly it is a rope. So the Samanya Jnanam is there, but the Vishesha Jnanam is not there. And this results in the mistake of one taking it to be a snake. The snake is the superimposition upon the rope. Similarly, because I know that I am, Samanya Jnanam is there, but I don't know who I am, the Vishesha Jnanam is not there, I make a mistake about myself. I superimpose the things that don't belong to this I upon the I. So one superimposes the attributes of the body and mind upon this I. And I start to say, I am this body, I am this mind. And then this body and mind is extremely limited in this huge world. It is subject to forces beyond my control. I start to say, I am Apurna. And therefore, the I am Apurna is also a superimposition upon the I that I don't know. And I can't stand my Apurnatvam. I'm not comfortable with it. I cannot accept myself being Apurna. Therefore, what is the next thing that results? I begin to seek Purnatvam. In the field of Artha, Kama and Dharma. And then I get into this entire struggle, trying to get Purnatvam from all of this, but I am looking in the wrong place. Just like this person who had lost his ring somewhere in a dark spot, he is not looking for the ring where he lost it. Instead, he is looking for the ring where the light is. So, all of these pursuits take place. Accomplishments in the field of Artha, Kama and Dharma take place. But none of these accomplishments are opposed to the Ajnanam. So the Ajnanam remains untouched. And therefore the superimposition that I am Apurnaha remains untouched. So whatever I accomplish, I remain Apurnaha. One is born and one wanders aimlessly. Balastavad krida saktaha, tarunastavad taruni saktaha, vruddhastavat chinta saktaha, parame brahmani kopi na saktaha. In a childhood, one is engaged with playthings. The youth, one is engaged with the prospective partners that one is looking for. So all of this continues. One still doesn't find any Purnatvam. The whole life goes like this. But one remains a wanting person even at the end. Sadinayaminyau sayam pratah shishira vasantau punarayatah kalah kridati gacchatyayuhu tadapi na munchati ashavayuhu. The whole life goes like this, but still one remains a wanting person. Tadapi na munchati ashāvāyuhu. This apurnatvam is there. Therefore, one still looks for some satisfaction, fulfillment from somewhere else. And even death does not end this struggle. No one dies apurnaha. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam. And one is born again. And again the same thing repeats. Why? The Ajnanam is there intact. The superimposition is there intact. I am Apurnaha, I am Apurnaha. Like in a musical concert, there's the Shruti, Tanpura Shruti in the background. So there's always this Shruti in the background of the Ajnani that I am Apurnaha. So doesn't even occur to him that he is looking in the wrong place. He continues this endless struggle. This is basically samsara. The struggle of samsara, the never-ending struggle to gain purnatvam out of the first three purusharthas. So Vidyaranya Munihi gives an interesting example to illustrate this. And that is what the next three shlokas are about. So this example is picked from the Panchadashi, which is a Vedanta text written by Vidyaranya Muni. I will read that and then we will discuss. Nadyam kita iva vartad avartam taramashute vrajanto janmano janma labhante naiva nirvritim. So here Vidyaranya gives an example of a fast flowing stream or a river, for example. And sometimes what happens is that insects fall into the river. And the insects get stuck in the river basically. So Nadyam Kita. So Nadyam Kita means insects. Nadyam Kitaha. So it's insects that have fallen into this rapidly flowing stream or a river. And what do these insects do? Vrajantaha taramashu. Taramashu vrajantaha means they move very fast along with the river. Because the river moves fast, they also move very fast, helplessly. From where to where? It says avartad avartam. He says this river has got some whirlpool-like things where the water is rotating rapidly. So these insects are carried forward and then they get stuck in a whirlpool where they just keep going round and round and round for a while. And suddenly, due to some reason, they come out of it and then they're carried forward and then they get stuck in another whirlpool. So avartad, avartam. So now, why is Vidyaranya giving this example? And he says, Labhante naiva nirvritim. This insect doesn't get any respite from this struggle. They're helplessly directed from one whirlpool to another. It doesn't get a break at all from this. So why this example? Vidyaranya says that the jivaha is very similar. So the jivas, they basically fall into this river of samsara. This is a rapidly flowing river. They cannot, once they get into it, basically they are helplessly pushed around. From where to where? Janmanaha janma. From one janma to another, just like the insects go from one whirlpool to another, this jiva goes from one janma to another. In the janma, the jiva goes round and round for a while, trying to gain this purnatvam. But then this event that terminates that janma is death. After death, the jiva is carried again helplessly into another whirlpool, another janma. And this process continues endlessly. So now we'll go to the next shloka. Satkarma paripakat te karunanidhino dhrutaha prapya tirataruchayam vishramyanti yatha sukham. Now Vidyaranya Muni goes back to the example of the insects. He says now, due to some past punya that this insect has done, Sat karma paripakat. He said Sat karma paripakat. Sat karma means punya karma. Paripakat means due to the fructification of this punya karma. So Sat karma paripakat. Te kitaha, these insects. Karuna nidhina udhritaha. So there is some compassionate human being who walks on the side of the stream, who happens to notice these insects. This compassionate being basically says, oh, these insects are struggling. So he picks up some leaf or something and he takes this insect. He puts the leaf next to that whirlpool in which the insect is going around. The insect slowly crawls on the leaf. And then he places this insect under a tree on the bank of the river. So he says, Karuna Nidhina. That means a compassionate, by a compassionate being, due to some past fructification of past punya. All the insects are not picked up. Only some of the insects are picked up. And placed under some tree on the bank of the river. Here he says, Tira taru chhayam prapya. So now the insect is sitting under the shade of this tree on the bank of the river. And now it's relaxing there. It says, oh, I am out of this struggle, thankfully. I am out of this struggle. Vishramyanti yatha sukham. So now it's relaxing in the shade, happily relaxing, saying that, thank God I am out of this. So in fact, this is what happens to us when we wake up from a dream also. When there's a nightmare, what is our feeling? When we wake up, we say, thank God it was a dream. Thank God I'm awake. I'm awakened from it. So Vidyaranya then continues in the next shloka. It says, Upadeshamavapyaivam acharya tattvadarshinaha panchakosha vivekena labhante nirvritim param. So now Vidyaranya comes back to the Dashtantaha. The Drishtantaha means example. Dashtantaha means what is indicated by the example. So what is indicated? The Jiva's samsara is indicated. So now what does he say? Upadeshyam avapya evam acharyat tattvadarshinaha. So similarly, the Jiva, due to some fructification of past punya only, satkarma paripakat, due to fructification of some past punya, this jiva comes across an acharya, a guru. And acharya, what kind of acharya? Tattvadarshinaha, the one who knows this reality. So from this acharya, what does he get? Acharyat tattvadarshinaha acharyat upadesham avapya. So he gains this upadesha from the acharya. From the guru, who, what does he gain? He gains the knowledge. What kind of knowledge? It says Panchakosha Vivekena. So this refers to a particular type of Viveka here, called Panchakosha Viveka. So what the Acharya teaches are various types of Viveka. How to see who I really am. How to know who I really am. So Panchakosha Viveka is one of the Vivekas. We will look at it in detail, but basically it stands for Shravanam. That this person did Shravanam, that's how he got the Upadesha, the teaching. And what happens now? He's sitting under the shade of the tree that can be likened to his own Purnatvam. He's sitting in the shade of his own Purnatvam. Nothing can disturb him. Labhante nirvritim param. So he gains this absolute freedom, absolute fulfillment, this Purnatvam, and he now relaxes in his own Purnatvam. So what does this indicate? That in the absence of the Guru, the struggle would be never ending. Just as the insect struggle would never end in the river, it will just keep going from one whirlpool to another. The Jiva would just get stuck in this river of samsara, going from one janma to another. There is no way he can come out of it until there is some satkarma paripaka, some punya that that makes him encounter this guru who can then give him that upadesha. So the meeting of the jiva with the guru is said to be the most significant event across the lifetimes of the jiva. Why? Because the lifetimes are beginningless. There never was a beginning for it. And until if he doesn't meet this Guru, until he meets this Guru, this would continue to be endless. And therefore, everything else that happens in the life of the Jiva would have happened before. But the meeting with the Guru is something that is going to end this. And therefore, it is a very, very, very unique event, unlike any other event that has happened in the past. So this, we say, is possible only with Satkarma Paripakat, due to some past punyam, which we equate to Ishvara's Anugraha only. Ishvara's Anugraha brings one to the Guru. The Guru's Anugraha, which is nothing but the Guru's teaching. It brings one to the Śāśtra. And the Shāstra's Anugraha brings one back to Ishvara, because one knows now that one is one with Ishvara. So the Viveka Chudamani also talks about it, which is the next shloka. We will read that. Durlabham trayame vaitad devanugraha hetukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshayaha. So the Viveka Chudamani says that three things coming together are extremely rare. Durlabham trayam eva etat. Etat trayam durlabham eva. These three things coming together are extremely rare. In fact, each of them is rare, but the combination is extremely rare. And why do these three things come together? Devanugraha hetukam. They're only possible because of Ishvara's anugraha. And what are these three things? Manushyatvam. Everyone gets a Manushya Janma. Because there are millions of species here. Some of them don't have any free will. So getting a Manushya Janma with a free will requires Punyam. Requires Ishvara's Anugraha. Because only in this Janma one can also gain Punyam. One can do Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, etc. And come to Jnana Yoga. So Manushyatvam is rare. Mumukshutvam is even rarer. Because there are 1.56 billion human beings on this earth. How many of them are really mumukshus? Hardly 0.1% perhaps, or maybe 0.5% or something like that. This is mumukshutvam, where one comes to this point of becoming an adhikari, where one recognizes the limitations of the worldly pursuits and wants to pursue the spiritual, take up the spiritual pursuit. This is a mumukshu, still rarer. And then the third factor is Mahapurusha Samshayaha. Basically, a guru, a mumukshu. There are so many mumukshus who are struggling without proper direction. As we said, a mumukshu who doesn't become a jigyasuhu can get into spiritual samsara. Try this, try that. Try to seek this fulfillment through various other means other than knowledge. So who is even more blessed? The one who comes to this Mahapurusha Samshrayaha, means the one who comes under the shelter of a guru, who can guide this person properly. So these three things coming together are extremely rare. Durlabham trayamevaitat devanugraha hetukam. It is only possible because of Ishvara's anugraha. Then we have said Ishvara Anugraha is something that Ishvara just doesn't give out randomly. It has to be earned. And how is it earned? By accumulating the punya. How is that punya accumulated? Spiritual punyam, how is that accumulated? Through karma and upasana. Through karma yoga and upasana yoga. So this is why the Guru is said to have an exalted place. Because without the Guru, this struggle would continue indefinitely, infinitely. Then the next question is that why is a Guru necessary? Tad vijnanartham sa gurum eva abhigachet. Why is it said one should go to a Guru only? So you have said, we have discussed this also before, we are touching upon something we have discussed before. That if one tries to gain the knowledge by oneself, then why does it not work? So you are telling me that knowledge is required. Okay, why cannot I try to gain the knowledge myself? Why do I need a guru? So we said that jnanam is also eka sadhana sadhyam. The sadhanam for the jnanam is the pramana. You need a pramana. And the laukika pramanas cannot reveal the nature of the Atma. Pratyaksha, Anumana, Arthapatti, Upamana, Anupalabdhi. We discussed all of this. They are all outward directed or based on Pratyaksha, perception. So they cannot reveal the nature of the Atma, the Drik. The Drik is never the Drishyam. The seer is never the seen. The observer is never the observed. So how can one gain this knowledge by oneself? We say one has to come to Vedanta Pramanam. Pratyakshena mityava yastu payo na buddhyate enam vidanti vedena tasmat vedasya vedata. So whatever cannot be known through Pratyaksha and Anumana, all these Laukika Pramanas, one has to come to the Vaidika Shabda Pramana, because the Vaidika Shabda Pramanas are the only means of revealing that which cannot be revealed through any of the other Pramanas. So one has to come to Vedanta, one doesn't have this Pramana by oneself. The Laukika Pramanas won't work. Then one can insist with the questioning, why cannot I study Vedanta by myself? Why do I need a guru? So here, Bhagavad Pada Adi Shankaracharya gives a very stern warning in his Bhashya. He says, Śāstrajñopi svatantrena brahmanveshanam na kuryad. So we'll come to that statement in a moment. But firstly, there may be the language barrier, etc., because one doesn't understand Sanskrit, one may not understand Sanskrit, so one may need somebody to explain what it is saying. It's okay. That Pujya Swamiji says that as long it is okay, even if the student may not know Sanskrit. I mean, appreciation of Sanskrit definitely helps. But even if one doesn't know the language, if the guru is capable, the guru knows the language and can explain things properly, then that is also fine. So firstly, the language barrier is there. But then even if one is an expert in the language, for example, one knows jnanam, one knows vyakaranam, one has vyakarana jnanam. So he says, Shastrajñopi. So even if one is a Shastrajñaha, meaning one knows all of these supporting Shastras like Vyakaranam, Mimamsa, Tarka, etc., whatever is required in order to understand this. Even if one apparently has all of this, Shastrajñaha api swatantrena by oneself, Brahmanveshanam na kuryat. Don't do it, says Adi Shankara. Go to a guru. Why does Adi Shankaracharya say this? There are several reasons. One is that there is a cyclic kind of a situation. Because to understand, let's say one takes a particular text, and to understand it, one has to go verse by verse or sentence by sentence. But the situation here is peculiar. One cannot understand any single verse without having the total vision. Because one requires to put the verse in the proper perspective. And to get the total vision, one has to understand each verse. So there is a cyclic kind of a situation which one cannot break. So one will either misinterpret the verses because one doesn't have the total vision, one cannot put it in the right place, or misunderstand. Something like that will happen. So this is a bit like trying to put together a jigsaw puzzle with 500 or 1,000 pieces, let us say. You can think of each verse sort of representing one piece of the jigsaw puzzle. Now, many of the jigsaw puzzles, the total picture is given on the cover. The cover has the total picture. So looking at that, then one can use it as a guide and try to place the jigsaw puzzles in the proper place. Now let us say you have a jigsaw puzzle without the picture. Now, how are you going to solve this? Well, you take a piece, there is some blue color there. Where will it go? You have absolutely no idea. Whatever you think, just imagining things by yourself, which is coming from one's own ajnanam of what the total picture is. It's a product of ajnanam. So that is why we say that one should go to a guru, because a guru has the total picture. But then how did the guru get the total picture? Again, we say the guru did not get it himself or herself. The guru went to his or her guru. And then how did the first guru get the total picture? We say that there was really no first guru. But if you really insist, you want to know who the first guru is, say the first guru could have been none other than Ishvara, who is Sarvajna, who has the total picture. He is omniscient. So this is why one has to approach a guru who has the total picture, who can then teach you how to put each part in the right perspective. And in this process, a transmission of the total picture takes place from the guru to the student. And the second reason is that this is the subtlest possible subject matter. Because the subject matter is this attributeless Atma. We say that every attribute that one perceives belongs to the experienced objects only. We have discussed this before. It belongs to the drishyam, never to the drik. The drik is attributeless. And therefore, it is the subtlest possible entity that exists in the universe. There is nothing subtler than that. And the subtler a subject matter gets, it gets more confusing. Even for less subtler things like learning music, for example, or even in the field of mathematics or science, we go to experts who have been studying and teaching this for a long time. So this is no different. One has to go to an expert who has studied this subject matter thoroughly and who can explain it properly. So Brahma Vidya is far subtler than anything else. So all the more reason that one should approach an expert. And this expert is basically the Guru. We come to the next point that a systematic study of this is needed. A systematic study is needed. So what a lot of people are doing, which I'm observing also, and you will also know this, that people have some spiritual interest. But then they just buy some books from bookstores, or they just get some WhatsApp messages from different sources, or they Google around and try to find some material, they read it. So we say that all of this does not constitute systematic study. It's basically just getting some things from various sources and trying to put some picture together in your mind. Imagine studying physics like this by yourself, or studying mathematics, higher mathematics like this by yourself. It's not going to work like that. One needs to study any subject matter systematically. So again, all of these bits and pieces of information are just adding pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. They're piling up like a heap. A heap of these jigsaw puzzle pieces is absolutely of no use at all. It just adds to one's confusion. I read that, somebody says Brahman is like this, and suddenly somebody else may say something else, because both of these sources are not authentic sources. So one just gets terribly confused in the whole process. So by this, one cannot get the entire thing coming together. One cannot appreciate that there is this beautiful, total, self-consistent picture that liberates me. One cannot come to this point. And then the next point is that there is no replacement for a dialogue. What is the Bhagavad Gītā? It is Krishna Arjuna Samvada. Samvada means a dialogue between the teacher and the student. What are the Upanishads? The Upanishads are basically dialogues, Guru Śiṣya Samvada. So basically, the Vedanta reveals the nature of the true nature of the Jiva, the Jagat, and Ishvara. One has to listen to this, and after listening to this, one may have doubts. So one has to contemplate on what the Guru is saying. Vedanta is not something that has to be blindly swallowed. It is not something to be believed. It is something to be understood. In fact, Vedanta encourages questioning because it says, contemplate, bring out the questions. Let us discuss that. It is only through this process of dialogue that the doubts get cleared. If one is, for example, looking at something in the darkness and saying, is this a rope or is this a snake? As long as a doubt is there, it cannot be valid knowledge. And it cannot liberate this person from the fear of the snake. So similarly, am I Brahman or am I Jiva? As long as this doubt is there, it cannot liberate one from samsara. So in order to remove these doubts, in order to remove any vagueness, doubt, confusion, one needs a dialogue. The doubts have to be brought out, discussed with the Guru. There has to be some form of question and answers. And in this process, the vision of the Guru gets transferred to the disciple. And this is why the Guru is necessary. But then one may still insist that there have been cases of some people who have gained jnanam without a Guru. The Śāśtra itself gives the example of Vamadeva. So Vamadeva gained this jnanam when he was in the womb of the mother. So there was no guru who did Upadesha to Vamadeva, one can argue. But we say that such cases are exceptions. In such cases, most of the sadhana had been done in an earlier janma. Karma yoga, Upasana yoga was done in an earlier janma. And then the approach to the guru also must have happened in an earlier janma, where this person had done Vedanta Shravanam. And then did Mananam, had a dialogue with the guru, removed most of the doubts. But then still some doubts lingered because there was some obstruction. Due to that prarabdha karma, there was some obstruction that did not result in the rise of knowledge in that janma. Therefore, this person was still in samsara, had another janma, but then due to the intervening events, this obstruction was removed. Then there is a recollection of the jnana, of the teaching from the previous janma. And since it's now unobstructed, there is the rise of jnana. And then this person gets liberated. So in this, if one now argues that in this janma one did not have a guru, so it's possible to get jnanam without a guru, therefore why don't I try that? We say you're just looking at the tip of the iceberg. All of this was done in some earlier janma. So we say it is better not to treat oneself as an exception or a prodigy. Such a person who did all of this in the previous janma becomes like a prodigy in the next janma. It is better not to treat oneself as an exception or a prodigy. Even if we take these exams, for example, competitive exams, even after going to the coaching class, the competitive exam is very difficult. Similarly, even after going to a guru, jnanam is not a cakewalk. It requires a lot of commitment and hard work. Now, what to imagine without a guru? Just like somebody trying to pass a competitive exam without the coaching class, even with the coaching class, it is difficult. Even with the guru, this is not easy. Why take all of this route without a guru, etc.? So the Śāśtra does not encourage this at all. So then we come to the next question about the qualifications of the guru. Said, Saha gurum eva abhigachet shrotriyam brahmanishtam. The guru should be a shrotriya and a brahmanishtha. So what does this mean? So shrotriya means that the guru should have studied Vedanta under his or her guru. So that means that this guru who has studied Vedanta under his or her own guru, this person has the methodology of teaching Vedanta. He has the methodology of communication. He knows the various tools of communication, various teaching devices that Vedanta uses to communicate this. Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikya. So this can only be obtained from another guru. Therefore, such a guru is known as a sampradayavit, means one who knows the sampradaya of teaching Vedanta. Pujya Swamiji says, this guru is basically a teacher. Most fundamentally, a guru is a teacher. The teaching has to take place. There is no other way of transmitting the knowledge, because Krishna Paramatma himself was there in front of Arjuna. He did not just touch Arjuna and say that now you have the knowledge. He painstakingly, meticulously taught Arjuna. So the guru is basically a teacher. A teacher is one who is a Shrotriya, who knows the methodology of teaching, who can teach Vedanta systematically. The second qualification is that should ideally be a Brahmanishtha also. Brahmanishtha means that he knows himself as Purna, as Mukta. So the teaching that he gained from his guru has led to the Purnatvam that he himself was seeking. So such a person is a Brahmanishtha. So basically the knowledge has to be there and the communication has to be there. The knowledge without communication, very difficult to get across. The communication without knowledge will not carry the conviction along with the communication. So then, what the Upanishad is saying, one thing is very clear. Avoid one who is neither a Shrotriya nor a Brahmanishtha. Such a person cannot be a guru. So then, the ideal guru is one who is both a Shrotriya and a Brahmanishtha. But then there arises the question, what if one is not both a Shrotriya and a Brahmanishtha? Then the choices are that one may be a Kevala Shrotriya or a Kevala Brahmanishtha. So amongst these, who is a more effective guru? The tradition leans towards the Kevala Shrotriya, not the Kevala Brahmanishtha. Why? Because this Kevala Shrotriya has studied Vedanta under a guru. And he is on the path to becoming a Brahmanishtha, is not yet a Brahmanishtha. But this person cannot misguide others. Whatever he says, it will be backed up by the Śāśtra, by the Guru Parampara. But maybe when it comes to some statements, because he is still trying to establish himself in that Purnatvam, perhaps some of the statements may not carry the conviction of a Brahmanishtha. The Śāśtra that says still is okay. A Shrotriya Brahmanishtha will not never misguide anybody else. He'll put them on the right track. But how about this Kevala Brahmanishtha? Say this Kevala Brahmanishtha, who is not a Shrotriya, has not studied Vedanta under a guru systematically. He may be more like some spiritual prodigy who has studied this in some earlier janma and somehow that jnanam arose in this janma. He did not approach a guru and study Vedanta systematically in this janma. So if such a person is there, then he may not be able to teach Vedanta systematically because he doesn't have the tools of communication. He doesn't have the sampradaya of teaching. So such a person, one can say, we can approach this such a person for inspiration, for blessing. But it's for studying Vedanta systematically, it is better to approach a Kevala Shrotriya as opposed to a Kevala Brahmanishtha, or one who is both a Shrotriya and a Brahmanishtha. Because this teaching, as we said, is a functional skill. This teaching is a skill. And the Kevala Brahmanistha, he doesn't have the methodology of teaching systematically. The Kevala Shrotriya has this methodology of teaching. So, for example, we can take a person who travels only by flights. So, a person who travels only by flight to some given destination, he takes the fast route to the destination. So, such a person may not be the best person to advise somebody uh, who travels by foot or who travels by bus or who has to stay in these small motels on the way. For such a person, there is no position to give that kind of advice. Why? Because he has not encountered those difficulties. Similarly, this Kevala Brahmanistha is somebody who has taken the fast route, who has not taken the painful route in this Janma. And therefore, this person may not be able to deal with the difficulties of the Shishyas that the Shastra talks about, the Shastra discusses. We also come across, for example, some prodigies in other fields. For example, you take a prodigy in mathematics. So, such a person, if he is called to teach, then he may write step number one. And if there are 15 steps to solving a particular problem, he may jump from the first step to the eighth step, saying, this is also obvious. And then from the eighth step, he jumps to the 15th step and says, QED, the theorem has been proved. So there are all these students sitting in class who are wondering what he's talking about, what happened here. Now take this other person who writes every step on the board. And if somebody doesn't understand it, he erases it and writes it all over again and has some special classes with this person if he is having some particular difficulty and explains all of it. So this is a similar situation. Therefore, the ideal guru is a Shrotriya and Brahmanistha. But then, if both are not possible, then it is better to have a Kevala Shrotriya than a Kevala Brahmanistha. And what is the relationship between the Guru and the Shastra? We say that when a student approaches a Shrotriya Guru, it may be a Shrotriya Brahmanistha or a Kevala Shrotriya, then such a person does not teach any philosophy or any viewpoints of his own. But what he first does, converts the mumukshu to a jigyasu. Because moksha is eka sadhana sadhyam. Moksha can only be attained through jnanam, makes it very clear. And then says jnanam is also eka sadhana sadhyam. Jnanam can only be attained through the pramana, and the appropriate pramana is Vedanta. So such a guru brings the student to Vedanta. And the student wants to know his or her own nature. So if one wants to see one's own face, one needs a mirror. Without a mirror, it's impossible to look at one's own face. Similarly, the Guru holds the Vedanta mirror in front of the Shishya for the Shishya to see his or her own face in the Shabda Pramana of Vedanta. So the Guru handles the words of Vedanta as a Pramana that reveal the nature of the Atma, that reveal to the Shishya who I really am. So the Guru brings the Shishya to the Shastra. So without the Shastra, a Guru cannot be a Guru. And without the Guru, the Shastram also cannot be the Shastra. Why without the Shastra, the Guru cannot be the Guru? Well, how this Guru got the status of a Guru only because this Guru has a knowledge. How did the Guru gain the knowledge? By approaching another Guru who brought this person to the Shastra. Through the Vedanta Pramana alone, he gained the knowledge that I am Purna. And that is what gives him the status of being a Guru. Therefore, without the Shastra, the Guru can never be a Guru. And similarly, without the Guru, the Shastram also cannot be a Shastra. Why? Because without the Guru, one cannot make head or tail out of the Shastra. It cannot be operated as a Pramana. And therefore, a Shrotriya Guru brings the Shishya to the Shastra. And what happens? The Guru holds this word mirror of Vedanta so that the Shishya can see his or her own face. The Guru goes to the background, Vedanta comes to the front. And then gradually the Shishya gets enamored by what Vedanta is revealing. And gradually the Guru teaches the Shishya to hold the Shastra mirror by himself. And then the Guru hands over this mirror to the Shastra. Vedanta mirror is handed over to the Shastra and the Guru gradually takes a back seat. The Guru even departs. The Shishya left holding the Shastra mirror. The Shishya can now see himself very clearly in this mirror. Now the Shishya doesn't need the help of the Guru. And now the Shishya can also become capable of holding this mirror for the others to see themselves. So this is how the Guru Shishya Parampara takes place. So we say that this is unlike some cults. Because in a cult, what happens in a cult is that there is some central figure who becomes very important and everybody rallies around that figure. So the cult survives by keeping all these people rallying around some central figure. And he said that is not so in Vedanta. The Shastra is always superior to the Guru. So this Guru-Shishya relationship is not for creating some kind of permanent dependence, not for creating some larger than life figure. But the Guru is merely the person who brings the Shishya to the Shastra. That is the role of the Guru, to bring the Shishya to the Shastra. The Guru, once having discovered the Purnatvam, the Guru is independent, doesn't need anybody else for one's own Purnatvam. And once the Shishya sees, I am Purnaha, then the Shishya also becomes independent. This is not for perpetuating some kind of permanent relationship with the Guru. The Guru hands over to the wisdom to the Shishya, and then the Shishya and the Guru can part ways. In fact, this happens. In fact, in Viveka Chudamani, once the Shishya has gained the knowledge, he goes. The Guru says, now you are ready to go, ready to depart. But then the Shishya remains ever grateful to the Guru. To Ishvara, he remains grateful for bringing him or her to the Guru. And to the Guru, he remains grateful. Why? Because only through the Guru he came to the Shastra. And through the Shastra, he came to his or her own Purnatva. So the order is Ishvara's Anugraha brings one to the Guru, Guru's Anugraha brings one to the Shastram, Shastra's Anugraha brings one to Purnatvam by discovering one's oneness with Ishvara. So with this, we express our gratitude to this entire Guru Shishya Parampara that has brought this teaching to us. This magnificent, liberating teaching comes down to us only through the Guru Shishya Parampara. And therefore, we express our gratitude, and I'll conclude our class today. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.